It's just been so challenging, like being active and playing 4 games and then not, and then frustrated of like how hard I worked in the off season.
When the WNBA's golden goose goes down and the league acts like nothing's wrong, you know something's off. Caitlin Clark's latest sit-down with Sue Bird wasn't just another interview. It was the most raw, revealing, and brutally honest conversation she's had about her battles with injury. For the first time, she pulled back the curtain on the emotional punch of being thrown into the heart of the season without the preparation every player needs, and how that gave her a new respect for the teammates who've quietly fought through their own pain. Clark didn't sugarcoat anything. She talked about the mental strain of watching from the sidelines while the league's ratings took a nosedive without her. She admitted the pressure to get back wasn't just coming from coaches or fans, it was coming from herself. And as the face of the league, every missed game wasn't just about wins or losses. It was about ticket sales, TV ratings, and the narrative the league is desperate to control.
Playing my first game again, it's like, no, like you're tossed into game 30, like go try to play well, like it's hard, like it really is.
But here's the kicker. This wasn't just about her injuries. This was about the WNBA's treatment of its stars, the brutal reality of professional basketball, and whether the league is protecting its biggest draw or quietly wearing her down. And when Clark decided to speak up, she didn't hold back. She aimed directly at the league's most uncomfortable truth, and she did it with the kind of precision that made everyone, players, refs, and executives, stop and listen. Clark's rookie year was supposed to be her big breakout, the moment she took the WNBA by storm. But before the season even really started, it all changed. In preseason, a left quad injury hit her out of nowhere. It wasn't just a tweak, it was the kind of injury that instantly derails momentum. She sat out 4 games, grinding through rehab, determined to return stronger. When she finally did come back, she was electric. Her numbers were sharp, her shooting crisp, and it looked like she'd shaken it off. But then the dominoes started falling again. First, a left groin injury in late June benched her for 4 more regular season games and the Commissioner's Cup final. Then, just weeks later, a right groin injury on July 15th became the breaking point.
Even this beginning of the year, like I played great. Like I started the year really good. Like I felt really great shooting the ball well. And then I get hurt and it's like, okay, like you gotta get healthy.
This wasn't just about pain, it was about uncertainty. Every comeback was a mental battle. Could her body handle the workload? Would it give out again? Clark had never missed games in college. Suddenly, she was learning the brutal truth of pro basketball's physical grind. No training camp wrap-up, no safety net, just jump straight into game 30 and hope your body holds. The stop-and-go chaos was torture. Every return brought questions, and every twinge of discomfort brought doubt. Clark wasn't just fighting to get healthy. She was trying to keep her confidence intact in a league that doesn't wait for anyone. And for a star of her magnitude, the stakes couldn't have been higher. For Clark, the physical pain was one thing, but the mental weight, that was something else entirely. The turning point came in the form of a simple text from her mom. "You've taken so much time for everybody else. You need to take time for yourself now." It hit her like a gut punch.
I miss being around my teammates as much as I am, and I miss practicing. Like I've told people this, like I love practice.
Up until then, Clark's mindset was simple: get back on the floor as soon as possible. She thought about her teammates, her coaches, and especially the fans. But her mom's words forced her to see the bigger picture. Playing hurt wasn't just risking the next game, it was risking her career. The numbers made it impossible to ignore. When Clark played, the Fever went 8-5. Without her, they slid to 9-9. Attendance spiked with her in the lineup and dipped sharply when she was out. TV ratings told the same story. That wasn't just coincidence, it was proof of her value, and she knew it. The more she thought about it, the more she realized how much pressure she was under. Every missed game wasn't just about wins and losses, it affected ticket sales, broadcast deals, and the league's momentum. She wasn't just a player, she was a business. And when you're the business, people expect you to push through anything. But for the first time, Clark decided she wasn't going to let that dictate her choices. Her help had to come first, no matter how much it hurt to sit and watch.
I feel like I would be a really good ref, though, from the side.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't miss a call.
Backseat ref.
When Clark sat down with Sue Bird, the conversation took an unexpected turn. Sue asked about her sideline coaching during games she missed, and Clark's answer was both lighthearted and lethal. "I was more so coaching the refs. I'd make a good ref. I wouldn't miss a call." It was a throwaway joke on the surface, but everyone knew it wasn't just a joke. Clark had been watching closely from the bench. She saw patterns in how games were called, noticed the fouls that were missed, and felt the inconsistencies firsthand. This wasn't heat-of-the-moment frustration. Clark is a film junkie. She studies positioning, contact, and how players use space. She knew exactly what she was saying and exactly how people would hear it. And in a season already filled with officiating controversy, coaches speaking out, players fined for criticism, Clark's words hit like a grenade. The WNBA's biggest ticket seller had just taken direct aim at the league's officiating, and she did it with humor, confidence, and precision. It wasn't whining, it was a statement, and it came from someone with enough influence to make the league squirm. What made it even more dangerous for the league, she didn't name specific refs or plays. She didn't cross into personal attack territory. She kept it general, but the message was crystal clear. The officiating wasn't good enough, and she wasn't afraid to say it. The moment the interview dropped, the internet lit up. Clips of her smirk and the now iconic "I wouldn't miss a call" line flooded timelines. Memes, slow-motion breakdowns, and hashtags like #Clark was right and #Fix the whistle started trending. Players across the league quietly celebrated. Some sent her messages thanking her for saying out loud what they'd been whispering in locker rooms for years. One veteran reportedly told her, "You just said what we've all been thinking, and they can't fine you for it."
Read all this stuff like about yourself and you're like, oh my gosh, like this is amazing, I'm so great. And then you play bad and it's like, oh no.
Behind the scenes, the league wasn't laughing. Executives jumped into group chats debating the fallout. Some argued they needed to pull her aside and remind her to keep criticism in-house. Others warned that trying to silence her would only make things worse. She wasn't the type to take a corporate scolding and then smile for the cameras. Even the referees union reportedly bristled at the comments. Some officials felt personally attacked, while others privately admitted that she wasn't wrong. Data of foul inconsistencies was already making its way into the media, and now the league's brightest star had just given it a spotlight. The story spread beyond sports media. Talk shows replayed her words on loop. Debate panels analyzed her body language like it was a playoff highlight. Every outlet had the same question. Was this a one-off soundbite or the start of a larger fight between Clark and the league's officiating system? When Clark finally stepped back onto the court, the atmosphere was electric. It wasn't just her return. It was the first chance to see if the refs would treat her differently after her comments. From the opening tip, every whistle, or lack of one, drew a reaction. The first time she drove into the lane and got hit without a call, the crowd erupted in boos. Cameras zoomed in on her face, and there it was, the smirk. The same one from the Sue Bird interview, only this time aimed straight at the officials. Her teammates fed off it. Every shot, every assist felt like part of a bigger battle. Midway through the second quarter, she drew a clear foul on a three-point attempt. The whistle blew and the arena exploded. Clark glanced at the baseline ref, gave a slow nod, and mouthed something that had social media lip readers working overtime. By the end of the night, she had nearly dropped a triple-double and led the Fever to a win. But the real story wasn't a box score. It was the power dynamic on display. Fans dissected the game frame by frame, debating whether the refs were showing her more respect or doubling down to prove they weren't swayed. The morning after, ESPN's talking heads were split. Some said she'd won the battle. Others argued the league couldn't afford to let her influence calls. But one thing was certain, the conversation wasn't going away. Clark's battle with officiating wasn't just about bad calls. It was about the physical punishment she'd been taking since day one. Game after game, she faced full-court pressure, traps, and hard contact that went far beyond standard defense. It wasn't random. Watch the tape, and you see the difference. Other rookies didn't face the same constant barrage. Opponents targeted her, cutting off angles, bumping her on every cut, leaning on her at every screen. It was designed to wear her down mentally and physically. Her injuries weren't freak accidents. Quad strains, growing pulls, back soreness, they were the byproduct of a season-long pounding. And when the league allowed it to continue without consistent whistles, it raised a disturbing question. Was this just playing physical, or was it a calculated effort to grind down their biggest star?
In college, Clark had been protected, not coddled, but officiated with a level of consistency that kept the game fair. In the WNBA, the rules felt different. The welcome to the league hits were one thing, the relentless targeting was another. By speaking out, she wasn't just fighting for herself, she was calling attention to a larger issue: how the league treats the very players who bring in fans, ratings, and revenue. Because if the WNBA can't or won't protect its stars, it risks losing the very thing that's driving its growth. And Clark had just made sure the whole world was asking that question. Clark's comments didn't vanish after a few news cycles. They sparked a movement. Players around the league started speaking more openly about officiating. Coaches became bolder in post-game pressers. Every questionable call in any game had fans tagging her name. The WNBA suddenly found itself stuck between two bad options: ignore the criticism and look like they didn't care, or address it and admit there was a problem. Neither was appealing. Meanwhile, the Fever were battling to stay in playoff contention without her. Aaliyah Boston stepped up, Kelsey Mitchell hit big shots. Lexi Hall and Sophie Cunningham filled in the gaps. They weren't just surviving, they were showing they could compete. And that made Clark's eventual return even more dangerous for opponents. But for the league, this wasn't just about one player's injury or one team's playoff hopes. It was about the balance of power. Clark had shown that a single star, with the right words at the right moment, could shift the conversation across the entire sport. The officiating debate had gone national. ESPN, talk radio, even mainstream news were covering it. And the WNBA had to decide whether to adapt or double down. Because if Clark was willing to say this in year 2, what would she be willing to say in year 5? Caitlin Clark's season has been a roller coaster of brilliance, setbacks, and now controversy. What started as a battle with injuries has turned into a challenge to the league's very structure. She's not just asking for fair treatment. She's forcing the WNBA to decide whether it will protect its stars or keep rolling the dice. Her interview with Sue Bird pulled back the curtain on the physical toll of being the league's most targeted player. Her smirk on the court became a symbol of defiance, and her willingness to speak up made her the face of a conversation that's been bubbling under the surface for years. The Fever have fought to keep their season alive without her, but with Clark healthy, the stakes rise. Every drive, every whistle, or no whistle will be scrutinized. The league can't escape the spotlight she's put on officiating, and fans aren't going to let the issue fade away. So now the question isn't whether Caitlin Clark will keep speaking out. It's whether the WNBA will listen. Will they fix the whistle and protect the talent that's fueling their growth? Or will they risk alienating the very players and fans who are driving the league into the mainstream? Because here's the truth. If the league's golden goose keeps getting hacked without protection, it won't just be Clark's career on the line. It'll be the league's momentum. And that's a gamble they can't afford to lose.